This month at Gina Designs, you have the opportunity to earn up to 3 useful incentive stamps, including the Congratulations stamp, the Thank You border, and the Birthday border. Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you a beautiful card that you can make using the Thank You border stamp. And with the addition of some beautiful pattern paper, this project will require a very limited supply list. Let me show you the tools and supplies you'll need to make this card. First, you're going to need that beautiful Thank You border, and I have that already mounted here on my acrylic block. Then you're going to need some ink, and I'm using the Gina Designs Black Onyx ink. You're also going to need a little bit of cardstock, and the colors I'm using are the Gina Designs Red Velvet, Black Onyx, and White, and a little bit of ribbon. And then the only other supply that you're going to need is some pattern paper. And the pattern paper that I'm using comes from the 6x6 pattern paper pack called Watercolor Garden. And what's nice about this is you get 24 sheets of 6x6 pattern paper, 3 sheets of each pattern. So there are 8 different patterns, and all of the patterns coordinate beautifully together. And you're going to see that in a finished project that I show you in just a little bit. Now, the other stamp set that I'm going to show you later in a finished project, I have another project I want to show you, is the Organize It stamp set. And this was an old Stamp TV kit stamp set. I love this particular stamp set. I use it all the time still, even though it's several years old. And I love it because it's so useful for making gifts. So after I show you the card, I'm going to show you how I put other cards like it together to make a gift. So let's begin making this very, very simple card. What I'm going to do is take this piece of white cardstock and the Thank You border stamp, and I'm going to ink that up using some of the Black Onyx ink. Now our stamps are very, very closely cut, so you're going to be able to see exactly where you're stamping, and because they're cut so nice and straight, you're going to be able to line that up on a grid block and get a nice straight image. So I'm going to stamp this right across the bottom. Excuse my head if it gets in the way. Let me move that up a little bit here for you. I'm going to stamp that right at the bottom here of this particular piece of cardstock. And there is the Thank You border. See how nicely that looks going across the bottom? It almost looks like it's fancy cut, maybe with a fancy die or something, just because of that beautiful scalloped edge. Now my next step is to take this pattern paper, and I'm going to put this pattern paper right on top of that white piece of cardstock. And you can see that leaves that little border underneath that kind of highlights the thank you, thank you, thank you going across. And I'm going to apply that with some tape. And I like using the mono adhesive. This dot style mono adhesive is very nice for card projects. What I like about it is if you want to pick something up and move it, it gives you a little bit of grace period there to pick up a piece of pattern paper or cardstock and move it if it's not perfectly straight. But then once you tack it down, it becomes permanent. So there is that little layer there. And you can see I cut that the same size, but I left a little piece at the bottom there open so that you could see the greeting. Now I have a piece of Black Onyx cardstock, and I'm going to apply that just off onto the one side with that little bit of a border showing, like that. And again, I'm going to use the mono adhesive for this. This one, I love these delicate little 1/8 of an inch borders. Just really makes your focal panel pop out with just that little elegant border going around. And then I have a little area over here that I need to do something to jazz it up. Let me see if I can get that just a little bit straighter. You can see that I have a little grace period there with the mono adhesive. There we go. Okay. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to use a little bit of this black gingham ribbon, and I'm going to just rest it up against that raw edge. So I'm going to cut just a little bit here, and then I am going to add tape to the whole panel of ribbon. This way the ribbon won't move around. Once I tack it down, it'll stay nice and flat. So I'm going to lay that right up to that edge and not overlap onto the cardstock, onto the pattern paper rather. Just like that. There we go. And then tack that down. And then my final step for this quick and easy card is to mount that onto a red velvet card base, like that. And again, we'll add a little bit of tape back there, and I always like to tape over my ribbon to make sure it doesn't come loose. Make sure that that piece is tacked down well. There we go. And then this whole panel goes right on top of the red velvet card base. Now that card is so quick and easy to make. There's my finished card project. So quick and easy to make, but it looks so elegant, and it looks like there's so much going on because of this fancy border and then this beautiful pattern paper. It looks like a watercolor masterpiece. Now let me show you a couple others I made. Here's another one of the same card that I made. And then here is one that I made using the congratulations banner. And you can see I just peeked that little stamp out from underneath some of that ribbon. And you can see the different patterned papers that all coordinate so nicely together from that watercolor garden set. And then I made one more using the birthday one. And this is the birthday border and the watercolor garden paper. And you can see for this one I decided to add a little embellishment. I put ribbon here and ribbon down here, and I added one little button there. But of course you don't have to do that if you're going to mail these. You can leave that off, or maybe put a brad or something a little bit flatter there, maybe a paper flower or something. So here are 3 different cards that I made using the free incentive sets and just 1 pack of pattern paper, and you can see all the different styles that you can come up with. Now I want to show you something else that I made to coordinate with this. I made this card box, and again these are all papers from that same watercolor garden pattern paper pack. And what I did was I used the bolder yellow with the vines on the front and the back, and then I used the matching paper to this paper for all the sides. You can see that. And I also did a little bit of paper piecing in here using that same pattern paper. So even though you have all of these different card projects, you're just making use of stamps, paper, and ink, and then adding a little bit of ribbon. So it's a very limited amount of supplies to make all of these beautiful projects. And then of course I have some white envelopes, the Gina K Designs envelopes, and I want to show you how nicely these cards with these envelopes fit inside this box. And you can actually fit more than I have here, but here's the little box opening at the top, and then you can pop these inside, and this makes a nice little gift set. I would suggest making 4 to 6 cards for a gift pack, and that makes such a nice little gift for somebody. These are quick and easy to make, and they don't require a lot of supplies. For a video on how to make the basic greeting card gift box, click on the link below the screen or search Greeting Card Gift Box on the Videos tab at StampTV.com. With plenty of time left before the holidays, now is a great time to make lots of these gift sets and tuck them away for the holiday giving season. And with simple border stamps like these, some cardstock, and beautiful pattern paper, you'll be able to whip these up in no time flat.